Well, we don't, in many respects, need to deal with it. Not least of all because it is the monarch that is the key to this, and the constitution that underpins the monarchy. What we do, we hope, contributes to the monarchy and the way in which it can convey continuity of not just interest, but of service, of understanding.
The palace was quiet until one title changed everything. Cameras captured the moment Princess Anne did something unexpected. She took Queen Camilla's title away in front of surprised onlookers. Gasps filled the grand halls as the Duchess of Cornwall was reintroduced to everyone. What caused this royal move? Was it loyalty to the late Queen Elizabeth, or a struggle for the future of the crown? What happened next shook Buckingham Palace and left King Charles with a tough choice. Stay with us as we reveal the royal family's most hidden secrets. The headlines spread quickly across the UK and beyond. Princess Anne strips Camilla of Queen title. What began as a regular royal event turned into a major shakeup, right in front of amazed cameras and an audience in utter disbelief, their gasps echoing in the grand halls of Buckingham Palace. Camilla appeared calm as she walked out on the red carpet for a state function, expecting a typical royal introduction. Instead, the announcer hesitated before introducing her as Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Cornwall, a title not heard in years. Camilla's smile faded, and she looked side to side. When the camera zoomed in, the moment was caught for everyone to see. It was a turn of events no one saw coming, not even the most seasoned royal watchers. Reporters quickly took notice, and so did the nation. Behind the scenes, palace aides were in a frenzy to contain the situation. The whispers of a power struggle had been circulating for months, but the public revelation was unexpected. The news that Princess Anne, the late Queen Elizabeth II's trusted defender of tradition, had quietly assumed control confirmed the rumors. Camilla did not lose her wealth or place with Charles, but she was stripped of her most significant title, Queen. For the first time since Charles ascended the throne, the power dynamics at Buckingham Palace were uncertain. The timing was intentional. Camilla's public image had suffered due to ongoing rumors about her influence over Charles and her role in the royal family. Many warned that she was in a complicated situation. Few expected Anne, the serious royal who preferred to stay out of the spotlight, to take such a bold action. Now, the world was watching, not only out of curiosity, but because something significant had changed. The monarchy, already dealing with scandals, succession issues, and shifting loyalties, had entered a new era. In the middle of it all, Camilla was shocked. Anne was determined, and Catherine, the queen-in-waiting, was quietly observing and playing the long game. This was not just royal drama, but a struggle within the crown. Princess Anne and Queen Camilla have always had a tense relationship, primarily due to royal expectations rather than affection. This tension has existed for nearly 30 years, stemming from their different views on tradition and change, especially in the shadow of Diana, Princess of Wales. Princess Anne is intensely loyal to her mother, Queen Elizabeth II, and the traditions of the monarchy. She believes in serving quietly and without seeking public attention. When Diana became part of the royal family, Anne initially saw her as too emotional and focused on the press. However, Anne later recognized that Diana brought a much-needed human connection to the monarchy. When the public learned about Charles and Camilla's relationship, Anne was worried about her brother and the idea of a royal marriage. Unlike others, she openly expressed her doubts about Camilla, seeing her as someone who disrupted royal traditions. While Queen Elizabeth eventually accepted Camilla, Anne stayed distant. Analysts noted that the two women shared no warm interactions, only polite exchanges. The tension was both personal and institutional. Anne viewed Camilla as someone who entered the monarchy in a non-traditional way and began to change royal etiquette. In Anne's eyes, you should earn the title of queen through dedication and public service, not just by marrying into it. Camilla found Anne's attitude frustrating because she had worked hard to gain acceptance. After Charles became king, Camilla thought she had finally achieved her goal. But Anne had not wholly accepted this change. After the coronation, the tension grew. Camilla began to suggest changes, like adjusting seating at events and increasing visibility for her family. Anne, unimpressed, watched closely. At a private gathering, when Camilla confidently called herself central to the monarchy's future, Anne replied, "You may wear the crown, but it doesn't mean you carry its weight." This comment served as a warning to Camilla. With her mother gone, Anne now sees herself as a protector of royal traditions in a changing monarchy. When Camilla overstepped, Anne took action. In royal circles, influence often comes from subtle actions rather than bold moves. While Camilla seemed to make progressive changes framed as tradition or modernization, she aimed to increase her power. Her latest actions upset the delicate balance, pushing Anne from quiet concern to decisive action. The issue arose when Camilla sought to integrate her children, Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes, into royal duties, despite her prior stance to keep them away from the public eye. She began advocating for Tom to be assigned a formal advisory role within the royal household, which Anne opposed as a breach of protocol since Tom lacked a royal title. This attempt to reshape the royal structure was Anne's breaking point. Additionally, Camilla considered altering royal precedents, who stands where and sits at which table, to elevate her family's status above those who had dedicated their lives to the crown. Anne voiced her concerns to Charles, insisting that titles and protocol were sacred. However, Charles dismissed her worries as outdated and backed Camilla's proposals, which Anne felt jeopardized the palace's integrity. What was intended to be a peaceful retreat at Balmoral turned into a confrontation initiated by Anne. The meeting was held in private, with Charles unaware of the escalating tensions and Camilla feeling self-assured. There, Anne calmly articulated how Camilla's ambitions undermined royal authority and public trust, clarifying that she would not tolerate changes that would reshape the monarchy in Camilla's image. Anne suggested that Camilla stop using Queen in official ceremonies and instead use Duchess of Cornwall when the king was absent. She shared a prepared statement, saying she had the authority as Colonel of the Blues and Royals and Queen Elizabeth II's only daughter. Charles quickly disagreed, pleading with Anne to reconsider. "She is my wife," he said. "She is queen." Anne stood firm. "She may be your wife, Charles, but she's not the queen your mother wanted." Caught off guard, Camilla responded sharply. "You are not the monarch," Anne replied, slowly rising. "But I'm my mother's daughter, and she trusted me to protect her legacy." The tension was thick, and even the aides looked away. Camilla left the room soon after, visibly upset. Charles sat in shock, and Anne, who was never dramatic, placed the signed document on the table, nodded stiffly, and walked out. Palace messages went out to event organizers, press contacts, and royal staff within hours. The Princess Royal ordered that all mentions of Queen Camilla be changed immediately. There were no public statements or press conferences, but the change became clear after a few days. Announcers adapted their introductions, programs were quickly reprinted, and at her next public appearance, Camilla was introduced as the Duchess of Cornwall instead of the Queen. Anne had made her point. The atmosphere was elegant and calm. Dignitaries mingled beneath chandeliers, and the red carpet at the Royal Academy's fundraising banquet sparkled under camera lights. It was supposed to be a regular event in Camilla's calendar. She arrived in a stunning diamond tiara and sapphire gown, with Charles by her side, both smiling. However, something significant was about to happen. Camilla had rehearsed this moment many times. The plan was simple: walk to the stage, be introduced by the host, and give a short speech. Something she was used to, but she hadn't prepared for the host's opening words. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Cornwall." Gasps filled the room, followed by awkward applause. Camilla paused, thinking she had misheard. Her expression changed briefly, and the cameras caught it. She glanced at the host, then at Charles, who looked just as shocked. In that instant, she realized it was no mistake. There had been no warning or private discussions. This was a clear public statement, made with precision. Aides looked anxious, some leaned toward event coordinators, and others grabbed their phones, but it was too late. The cameras recorded it, and the Duchess, no longer Queen, was in the limelight. Reporters, skilled at sensing palace disputes, began whispering among themselves. "Did you hear that?" one said. "They just changed her title on stage." The whispers turned into tweets, leading to headlines. Camilla continued with her speech, finding her composure after a shaky start, thanks to her royal media training, but the moment had been marked. Every photo, video, and social media post from the event featured a title she had hoped to leave behind. After the gala, Camilla returned to Clarence House, looking for answers. Staff tried to downplay it, saying it was a clerical error, but Camilla knew better. The wording was too precise and intentional. Someone had given particular orders, and that person was Princess Anne. It wasn't just a public moment, but a bold action taken in plain sight. Not through official announcements or tabloids, but by changing a single word in a royal announcement. That was all it took to change years of tradition. Editorials praised Anne's quiet strength, calling it a restoration of royal order. Reactions buzzed on social media, with images of Camilla's surprised face shared widely alongside pictures of Princess Anne looking determined. The real impact was felt inside the palace, not online. The royal hierarchy changed quietly. Camilla realized her role was not as secure as she thought. After a gala, King Charles had a private call with Anne that started calmly but became tense. Their conversation involved not just titles but years of family issues. Charles allegedly said, "You've crossed a line." Anne replied, "No, Charles, you did the moment you crowned her queen." The call ended in silence. After the call, Charles reflected on whether to release a statement, go against Anne, or let things cool off. He knew publicly restoring Camilla's title might lead to conflict with Anne and others in the family who saw Camilla's role as a problem. This group included Anne and was quietly supported by William and Catherine, key figures for the royal family's future. They stayed silent during the drama, which spoke volumes since they did not support Camilla or intervene with Anne. The next morning, William sent Charles a private message saying, "We need to protect the crown, not personalities." Charles was torn between his love for Camilla and his duty to the institution. Camilla had lost support within the family, leaving him with a hard choice: stand by his wife or let her role fade. For the first time as king, he felt uncertain. Ultimately, there were no formal statements or public acknowledgement of what happened. Still, everyone understood that the monarchy had changed, not by Charles, but by Princess Anne. Anne, often overlooked, defended the crown with her actions and the trust placed in her by her mother. She showed that the monarchy is about duty and tradition, not popularity. Her actions were seen as wise, strengthening the crown after years of turmoil. Camilla, who once aimed to secure her legacy as queen, found herself stepping back. Her public engagements decreased, and discussions about her influence quieted in the palace. She remained Charles's wife, but was no longer the primary focus of his reign. Her title was gone, and so was her perceived power. Charles also seemed to change. Those close to him described a quieter king, more thoughtful and aware that the royal family's unity was not just about him, but the next generation: William, Catherine, Charlotte, and George. Anne's actions reminded everyone that the monarchy is built on duty, not media attention. When she saw these values challenged, she took action. This decision was seen as a key move within royal circles. The crown, once seen as weakening under personal interests, was reaffirmed with principle. With that quiet win, Anne restored a title and the essence of the monarchy.